Hello there, good morning, and welcome back to the Football Tribe YouTube channel. My name is Robert Kesakos, and thank you for tuning back into the channel. Welcome back from all the midweek Champions League action, Europa League, and the UEFA Conference League. Yes, I do understand it's been a while since we last engaged on here, but it was all because of unavoidable circumstances, including but not limited to the loss of a close family member, and also rest in peace, as well as a personal illness. But anyway, we are back and we are grateful to the Lord. I hope you had a beautiful week, one that was much better than mine. I hope you had a wonderful week of sport. You enjoyed all that Champions League action as well as the Europa League action. Sorry for Manchester United. I think we are now getting accustomed to this. Manchester United will win a couple of games, one or two or three, and then lose their next. There were 4-3 losers against Copenhagen in the UEFA Champions League, but Manchester City on the other side were winners by 3 goals to 0 against Young Boys, while Arsenal did beat up against Sevilla by 2 goals to 0. Newcastle lost 2 goals to 0 against Borussia Dortmund away in Germany, and they do find themselves bottom of that Group F after AC Milan beat up against Paris Saint-Germain by 2 goals to 1. Olivier Giroud scoring the winner in that one after Rafael Leao had found the equalizer for them. So plenty beautiful action. West Ham 1-0 winners against Olympiacos in the Europa League game, as well as Brighton beating up against Ajax by 2 goals to 0. You also had AZ Alkmaar lose against Aston Villa by 2 goals to 1 in the UEFA Conference League. So plenty of action. Real Madrid again were 3-0 winners against Braga. Bayern Munich beating up against Galatasaray by 2 goals to 1 and all that. I hope you did enjoy all that. But our focus will be in the Premier League as we welcome match day 12 just before the international break. One that I believe will be our last international break until the month of March. So allow us to dive into it all. Yes, match day 12 will run through the fixtures and will run through the table standings. But before I bring you all the fixtures, here are the table standings. Manchester City still lead the pack with 27 points, while Tottenham are in second with 26 points. Liverpool make third with 24, as many as fourth place Arsenal at 24. Remember, Arsenal were 1-0 losers against Newcastle in their last game, while Liverpool shared the spoils with Luton Town in a 1-1 all draw. Spurs were 4-1 losers against Chelsea in a Monday night football game, while Man City had beat Bournemouth by I think 6 goals to 1 to move back to the top point. Anyway, Aston Villa are 5th with 22 points. Newcastle 6th with 20 points. Brighton 18 points in 7th place, while Manchester United are 8th with 18 points. In number 9, it's Brentford 16 points. Chelsea 15 points. Crystal Palace 15 points in 11th place, while West Ham, Nottingham Forest, Wolves, Fulham, Everton, Luton, Bournemouth, Burnley, Sheffield United do complete the table. So those are the table standings for you in the Premier League. But match day 12 action will kick off at Molineux Stadium, where Wolverhampton Wanderers will be hosting Tottenham Hotspurs. Now, Tottenham Hotspurs do not find themselves in good shape given the number of injuries that they do have to contend with, including 2 suspensions for Christian Romero, their centre back there, as well as Udogi. These were suspended or received red cards in their 4-1 loss to Chelsea on Monday Night Football. Scandalous game there. Quite the way it was handled. But anyway, we are getting accustomed to that and more in the Premier League when it comes to, average referee or officiating of games. So, Tottenham will be without also their summer signing star in James Maddison, who is believed that he will be out until January, according to manager Ange Postecoglou. So a lot of changes there that they expected to make in that team. A number of injury troubles, including Richarlison for Tottenham Hotspurs there, as well as those suspensions to contend with in the aftermath of their 4-1 loss to Chelsea. It is also believed that defender Mickey van de Ven will be out with a hamstring injury, but they do welcome back Ben Davies, who recovered from his own knee ankle issue there. So they expect to have him available to in the matchday squad. On the other side, Wolverhampton Wanderers will be without their winger or forward. That's Pedro Neto. He's been quite on form in recent weeks, but they will have to do without him. So we'll be waiting to see how Tottenham fare without their key centre back partnership in Christian Romero and Mickey van de Ven. You expect that whoever is put in that defensive role will need to call upon goalkeeper Vicario to be at his best. Because this has been the pairing that we've been accustomed to for Tottenham that had propelled them to the top of the Premier League table until Manchester City knocked them off that summit in the aftermath of match day 11. So that will be at 3:30 p.m. kickoff. The next at 6 p.m. Like I told you in our last video that the kickoff hours have changed there from 5 to 6 p.m. So at 6 p.m. Arsenal do host a Burnley, while Crystal Palace will welcome Everton. Manchester United will be at home against Luton Town, while Bournemouth at 8:30 p.m. will host Newcastle United. Now, speaking matters of Arsenal, Arsenal will be desperate to return to winning ways in the Premier League following their contentious 1-0 loss against Newcastle last weekend in what was believed to be a robbery in broad daylight for manager Mikel Arteta, who has since questioned the officiating capacities and credentials of some of these referees. All the VAR drama and all that. He believes that his Anthony Gordon's goal against them should have been cancelled or should have not been counted, given a number of decisions or situations that could have been weighed to cancel the goal. A push on Gabriel Magalhaes there by Jolinton, as well as a suspected offside in the build-up to the goal and all that. But anyway, it was not to be. The result cannot be changed. It is what it was. I did personally think that neither side deserved to win the game. It was a fair game. Yes, Arsenal were dominant, but they didn't really threaten Newcastle in terms of shots on target. If I'm not mistaken, I think they had just one or two. So that clearly tells you the tale of events that did transpire at St. James's Park. I didn't think any team deserved to win that game. With all Newcastle's injuries that they came into the game with, you did think that Arsenal would, sort of nick that one, but it was never meant to be, as they did lose it by a goal to nil. So Arsenal do return to action after their 2-0 victory in the Champions League. It was a home game, so they didn't travel. They'll be in good shape. However, suspected absences will include captain Martin Odegaard as well as Thomas Partey, who is feared that he will be out until perhaps January. And that has sent Arsenal sort of in a low panic mode, trying to find a midfielder because they think they should let Thomas Partey go in January, given his injury history, especially during his time with the Gunners. So they are looking at Aston Villa's midfielder, Douglas Luiz. Remember, they did try to sign him, I think last season, but one, if I'm not mistaken, on deadline day, but the deal did materialize for Douglas Luiz. Well, they are back in contention for him because of that Thomas Partey injury. They think they should be doing something to revamp their midfield. The other absentia will be Emery Smith-Rowe as well as striker Gabriel Jesus. So you expect Eddie Nketiah to be back in contention for leading that forward role. But in midweek, it was Leandro Trossard who also managed to score that started in that false nine or number 9 role in that game. So we'll wait to see how Mikel Arteta assembles his team for this one. Then the other game that we should look at is Manchester United against Luton. Despite their 4-3 loss against Copenhagen, I think the positive for me was Rasmus Højlund picking up a brace on the night, and I do think we'll take all that inspiration to guide Manchester United to a Premier League victory. If Manchester United have a team that they can beat up against in the Premier League, it should be Luton Town. Remember, Luton Town are yet to win a game in the Premier League, but I'm not saying it will be a walk in the park, because this is the same side that did hold a Liverpool to a 1-1 all draw last weekend. But if Man United want to consider themselves serious and be counted in contention, perhaps, very remotely, for the title or for a top 4 finish, then this is a game that they should be able to win up against before we go for that international break. Perhaps the international break will be a stitch in time that helps them reorganize as they wait for many of their key players that are still injured. They are without Alessandro Martinez and Rafael Varane has been absent. You have Luke Shaw absent. You have Casemiro absent. All those injuries are to contend with from defense through midfield, and then forward there. Amadou Diallo still absent. You have Tyler Malacia absent through injury. So you do think that manager Erik ten Hag, who believes that a lot of decisions have gone against them, he thinks that the red card that was handed to Marcus Rashford in their 4-3 loss to Copenhagen in the Champions League was a mockery of officiation, quite unfair, and it does add that a lot of decisions have not gone their way. Well, he shouldn't wait for decisions to go his way, but let him just command his team to beat up against this Luton Town side. I do believe in terms of player profile, they have what it takes. Bruno Fernandes will have to do more than just wait for a penalty, just as he did against Fulham when they did beat Fulham by a goal to nil in last weekend, that he should rise again to the occasion to inspire his side to another victory. So I do believe that Manchester United have the capacity to beat up against Luton Town, just as much as I expect Arsenal to beat up against a Burnley side that are struggling to win games this season. Crystal Palace against Everton, there I do expect sides perhaps to share the spoils. These are both defensive sides in manager Sean Dyche and Roy Hodgson on the other side. So I do expect them to share the spoils. Moving forward, on Super Sunday at 5 p.m., we'll have 4 fixtures there, with Aston Villa hosting Fulham. Brighton will be at home against Sheffield United, while Liverpool will host Brentford. West Ham United will host Nottingham Forest before Chelsea host Manchester City. That's at 7:30 p.m. But Aston Villa, despite their recent hiccups in the Premier League, I think they have it in them to try and fight for result in this fixture, especially on the back of that 2-1 victory against AZ Alkmaar in the UEFA Conference League. Brighton will be in high spirits after completing their double against Ajax in the UEFA Europa League. Ansu Fati scoring in both fixtures, so he is quite in great form. If Ivan Ferguson, the 19-year-old, just put pen to paper on a new contract with Brighton and Hove Albion, so I think they will be pretty comfortable at home as they host Sheffield United at the Amex Stadium. I do expect Roberto Di Zerbi to again guide his side to pick up 3 points against Sheffield United, given the kind of players that he has, the likes the Bill Gilmores that were in that game, João Pedro, Pascal Gross, and all those, Kaoru Mitoma. Yes, they do have their injury issues to contend with, but I think they've fared well enough without those players, and they can pick up a decent result against the Sheffield United side. Liverpool on the other side will host a Brentford. Brentford are in high spirits after their 3-2 victory against West Ham United last weekend. So they've had the entire week to rest, while Liverpool were on the other side losing by 3 goals to 2 against Toulouse in their Europa League fixture, in that reverse fixture. Yes, they thought they had found the equalizer late on in the game, but that goal was cancelled as Liverpool lost by 3 goals to 2. So, but I do think away from all the unfortunate news surrounding Luis Diaz and his parents being kidnapped back in Colombia, Liverpool do have everything to fight for. They do the contending for a rise to the summit of the Premier League table, and they do have the player power to pick up a result against a Brentford side, because most of their key players are available for selection in this one. Mo Salah, Diego Jota, Luis Diaz, Darwin Núñez, Dominic Szoboszlai, McAllister, Gravenberch, uh, Wataru Endo. They just do have the tools in their armor to go ahead and hurt a Brentford side. While West Ham on the other side will host Nottingham Forest. Remember, Nottingham Forest did beat up against Aston Villa by 2 goals to 0 in the previous weekend, and West Ham have lost their 3 previous Premier League games, the last being a 3-2 loss to Brentford. So they did lose a game to Everton by 1 goal to 0 there. So I think despite their 1-0 victory against Olympiacos, that saw them return to winning ways, and also beating up against Arsenal by 3 goals to 0 in the Carabao Cup last week, during the midweek fixtures there. I do think those 2 results could, perhaps inspire them to try and get a decent result here this weekend against Nottingham Forest. But should the result be a draw, do not be surprised. As for the big game for Super Sunday, Cole Palmer will have everything to prove that Pep Guardiola was wrong to let him go, even though Manchester City do not miss him at all, especially having signed Jeremy Doku, who has been quite a revelation to the Premier League and to this Manchester City side. What a brilliant signing. Bright Erling Haaland continues to fire on all cylinders. He did manage to score a burst as they beat the Young Boys by 3 goals to 0 in the midweek. So, Manchester City come as the better side in this fixture, but having won 6-1 and 3-0 in their last 2, engagements, that's in the Premier League and the UEFA Champions League, while Chelsea had all the week to themselves to rest after that Monday night fixture where they beat Tottenham by 4 goals to 1. I do think this is a battle that will be won largely in the midfield, and Enzo Fernandez, Moises Caicedo, and Conor Gallagher will have to prove a point if they are to stop Manchester City. We all know Manchester City, we want to dominate possession, and should they fail at that attempt, they do have it in their armor to play a long ball through Erling Haaland with those exquisite passes from goalkeeper Edison Morales. So they do have all the tricks that they can pull out to hurt a team like Chelsea, who sometimes have collapsed against the slightest of opponents. But we do think that Chelsea will try to put up a fight. It's not to say that they will win the fight, but they can cause Manchester City trouble if they avoid to concede early goals. But Manchester City seem to be in higher spirits, better shape than any other team at the moment in the Premier League. So we do expect Manchester City to nick this one, even though it's an away game. Anyway, that's all the action that will be coming your way this weekend in terms of the Premier League. That's it that we had for you today. Stay hooked on the channel for more that will be coming your way this weekend or this weekend and the starting week. I promise to avail myself more often than not to try and look at different scenarios, try and look at your teams there. Perhaps we'll find time and discuss all the VAR controversy with the likes of Yemi Karaga calling for its dismissal the likes of Gary Neville, Michael Owen, and others, and perhaps we'll give them a rap for their double standards, as well as Eric Ten Hag's time at Manchester United, where many are still calling for his head on a spike. By that I mean to be fired. But anyway, perhaps we'll find time to discuss all that. But for now, that's it from us from the Football Tribe, and I'll see you next time. Stay blessed and have a wonderful week.